The master said, "The secret of the perfect communication of the exoteric and esoteric teachings is really wonderful, but it is a pity that there is no one to explain it to those who cultivate their lives. It is all about the spirit, energy, and spirit, so keep it firmly and don't leak it out. Don't leak it out, keep it in your body, and you will prosper if you receive my teachings. It is very helpful to remember the secret, and you will be able to eliminate evil desires and feel cool. When you feel cool, the light is bright, and you can enjoy the bright moon on the altar. The moon hides the jade rabbit and the sun hides the crow, and there are turtles and snakes entwined. When they are entwined, their lives are strong, and they can plant golden lotus in the fire. Gather the 5 elements and use them in reverse, and when you have completed the work, you will become a Buddha or an immortal." At this time, the root cause was revealed, and Wukong's mind was blessed. He remembered the secret, thanked the master deeply, and went out of the back door to watch. He saw that the sky in the east was slightly white, and the golden light in the west was bright. He walked the same way, turned to the front door, gently pushed it open, went in, sat in his original bed, and shook the bed, saying, "It's daylight! It's daylight! Get up!" The crowd was still sleeping, not knowing that Wukong had gotten a good thing. He got up and fooled around that day, maintaining himself in the afternoon before midnight, and regulating his breathing. 3 years had passed, and the master had ascended the throne again, preaching to the crowd. He talked about cases and parables, and discussed the external appearance of the foreskin. Suddenly he asked, "Where is Wukong?" Wukong came forward and knelt down. "Disciple is here." The master said, "What kind of Tao have you been practicing?" Wukong said, "Disciple has been quite enlightened recently, and my roots have gradually become solid." The master said, "Since you have been enlightened, you have understood the roots and have already infused your spirit body, but you are only guarding against the 3 disasters." Wukong heard this and pondered for a long time and said, "Master, what you said is wrong. I often hear that a person with high moral character will live as long as the sky and will be free from all diseases when water and fire are in harmony. But how can there be 3 disasters?" The master said, "This is an extraordinary Tao. It seizes the creation of heaven and earth and invades the mysteries of the sun and the moon. After the elixir is completed, ghosts and gods cannot tolerate it, although it can keep your youth and prolong your life after 500 years. A thunderstorm will strike you from the sky. You must see your nature and enlighten your mind, and avoid it in advance. If you can avoid it, you will live as long as the sky, but if you can't, you will die. After another 500 years, a fire will fall from the sky and burn you. This fire is not heavenly fire. Nor is it ordinary fire. Fire is called yin fire. It starts from the Yongquan Q point and goes straight through the Niwan Palace. The 5 internal organs are reduced to ashes, and the 4 limbs are all rotten. All the 1,000 years of hard work are illusory. After another 500 years, a wind disaster will blow you. This wind is not the southeast, northwest wind, nor the warm and fragrant gold wind, nor the flower, willow, pine, and bamboo wind. It is called by wind. It blows from the fontanelle into the 6 internal organs, passes through the dantian, penetrates the 9 orifices, and the bones and flesh are dissolved. So you have to avoid it." Wukong was horrified when he heard it, and cowed out and said, "Master One has mercy on me and taught me the method to avoid the 3 disasters. I will never forget your kindness." The ancestor said, "This is not difficult, but you are different from others, so I can't teach you." Wukong said, "I also have a round head that reaches the sky, and square feet that touch the ground. I also have 9 orifices and 4 limbs, 5 internal organs and 6 internal organs. Why are you different from others?" The ancestor said, "Although you look like a human, you have fewer cheeks than humans." It turned out that the monkey had a crooked face and a concave face and a pointed mouth. Wukong reached out his hand and touched it, then said with a smile, "Master, you have no idea. Although I have fewer cheeks, I have this white bag more than others, so I can definitely break it." The master said, "Well, which one do you want to learn?" There are the Qiangang numbers, which should have 36 changes, and there are the Disha numbers, which should have 72 changes. Wukong said, "I would like to learn more and learn one of the earthly demon transformations." The patriarch said, "In that case, come forward and I will teach you the secret formula." Then he whispered something in his ear. It was unknown what wonderful method, he said. The Monkey King also learned all the secret formulas at once. At that time, he learned the secret formulas, practiced on his own, and mastered all the 72 transformations. Suddenly, one day, the patriarch and his disciples were playing in front of the Sangsing cave. The master said, "Wukong, has the task been completed?" Wukong said, "Thanks to Master Hai's grace, my disciple has completed his merits and can now fly up into the sky." The master said, "Try to fly for me." Wukong showed his ability. He raised his body and somersaulted. He jumped 5 or 6 feet off the ground. It took him a meal's time to step on the clouds and go back and forth. He was less than 3 miles away. He landed in front of him and crossed his hands and said, "Master, this is flying up into the clouds." The master laughed and said, "This is not considered flying up into the clouds. It can only be considered climbing clouds." It has been said since ancient times, the immortals travel to the North Sea in the morning and to Kangwoo in the evening. You didn't go more than 3 miles in half a day, so you can't even be considered climbing clouds. Wukong said, "What do you mean by traveling to the North Sea in the morning and to Kangwoo in the evening?" The master said, "Those who can fly up into the clouds start from the North Sea in the morning, swim across the East Sea, the West Sea, the South Sea, and then return to Kangwoo. Kangwoo is a word for Lingling in the North Sea. Only when they travel all over the 4 seas in one day can they be considered flying up into the sky." The cloud. Wukong said, "This is difficult. It's difficult." The master said, "Nothing is difficult in the world as long as one is determined." Wukong heard this and bowed his head and said, "Master, to be a man, one must be thorough. Please show me your great mercy and pass on this method of flying clouds to me. I will never forget your kindness." The master said, "All immortals fly clouds by jumping up, but you are not like this. I just saw you jump up after pulling yourself up. I will teach you the somersault cloud based on your strength." Wukong bowed and begged again, and the master passed on a secret formula, saying, "For this cloud, twist the formula, recite the mantra, clench your fists, shake your body, and jump up. One somersault can cover a distance of 180,000 miles. When the crowd heard this, they all laughed and said, "Wukong is so lucky." If you know this method, you can work as a pawnbroker, deliver documents, or pass newspapers. No matter where you go, you can find a job. The master and his disciples returned to their caves when the sky darkened. That night, Wukong used his spirit to practice magic and mastered the somersault cloud. Every day he was free and unfettered at home, enjoying the beauty of longevity. One day, when spring returned and summer solstice came, everyone talked for a long time under the pine tree. Everyone said, "Wukong, what is your fate in the previous life? The other day, Master whispered in your ear and taught you the method of avoiding the 3 disasters and changing into different forms. Do you know all of them?" Wukong smiled and said, "To be honest with you, brothers, one is that Master taught me, and the other is that I am diligent day and night, so I know all of them." Everyone said, "Take advantage of this good time, you try to perform it, let us see." Wukong heard this, shook himself up, and showed off his skills, saying, "Brothers, please give me a question. What do you want me to change into?" Everyone said, "Just change into a pine tree." Wukong twisted his fingers, chanted the spell, and changed into a pine tree. It is really, the gloomy smoke penetrates the 4 seasons, and the soaring clouds are beautiful. There was no trace of a demon monkey, just a branch that had endured frost and snow. When the crowd saw it, they applauded and laughed. They all said, "Good monkey! Good monkey!" The noise alarmed the master. The master hurriedly pulled his staff out and asked, "Who is making noise here?" Hearing the call, the crowd hurriedly dressed up and went forward. Wukong also revealed his true form and mixed in with the crowd and said, "Respected master, we are here to have a lecture, and there is no noise from outsiders." The master shouted angrily, "You are shouting and yelling, which is not like the body of a cultivator. A cultivator's spirit is scattered when he opens his mouth, and trouble arises when he moves his tongue. Why are you laughing here? The crowd said. We dare not hide it from Master. Just now Sun Wukong was performing a trick. He was taught to transform into a pine tree, and it really was a pine tree. The disciples all praised and applauded. So I shouted loudly to the respected master, hoping to beg for forgiveness. The Grand Master said, You wait and get up. He called, Wukong, come here. I want to ask you what you are doing and what pine tree you are transforming into. Is this skill good for showing off in front of others? If you see others have it, don't you ask them? Others will definitely ask you if they see you have it. If you are afraid of disaster, you want to teach them. If you don't teach them, they will definitely harm you, and your life will be in danger. Wukong knelt and said, I just hope Master will forgive me. The Grand Master said, I won't punish you either, but just go. Wukong heard this and tears fell from his eyes and said, Master, where do you want me to go? The Grand Master said, Go from where you came from. Wukong suddenly realized and said, I came from the water curtain cave in the flower and fruit mountain in the Aole kingdom of the Dongsheng Shenzhou. The master said, Go back quickly to save your life. If you stay here, you must not do it. Wukong admitted his guilt. Master, I have been away from home for 20 years. Although I miss my old children and grandchildren, I dare not go because I have not repaid the kindness of my master. The master said, What kind of kindness is there? Just don't cause trouble and don't involve me. Wukong saw that he had no choice but to say goodbye and say goodbye to everyone. The master said, You will definitely have a bad life if you go. No matter how you cause trouble and commit crimes, you are not allowed to say that you are my disciple. If you say half a word, I will know it, and I will peel off the skin and grind your bones, and banish your soul to the 9 underworld, so that you will never be able to turn over. Wukong said, I will never dare to mention my master, just say that I know it myself. Wukong thanked him. He then pulled himself away, twisted his fingers, threw a few tugs, and flew back to the East China Sea. An hour later, he saw the water curtain cave in the flower fruit mountain. The Monkey King knew he was happy, and secretly said to himself, When I left, I was heavy with my mortal bones, but now I have achieved the Tao, my body is light. No one in the world is willing to make a resolution, but if you make a resolution, the mystery will be clear. At that time, it was difficult to cross the sea, but today it is very easy to go back and forth. The words of farewell are still in my ears, but I never thought I would see the East Sea in an instant. Wukong pressed down the cloud and went straight to the flower fruit mountain. He found a way to go, and suddenly heard the cry of cranes and monkeys. The cry of cranes reached the sky, and the cry of monkeys was very sad. He immediately shouted, Children, I'm here. At the foot of the cliff, on the stone steps, among the flowers and plants, and among the trees, monkeys of all sizes jumped out in thousands and thousands, surrounded the Monkey King, cowed out and shouted, My king, you are so calm. Why did you take so long? You left us all here, and we were starving for you. Recently, we have been bullied by a demon who wanted to occupy our water curtain cave. We risked our lives to fight him. During this time, he robbed our fire and captured many of our nephews and nieces. We have been kept awake day and night to guard our property. Fortunately, my king has come. If my king does not come again for years, we will belong to others, including the cave. When Wukong heard this, he was furious and said, What kind of demon is this that dares to be so rude? Tell me in detail, and I will find him and take revenge. The monkeys kowtowed and said, My king, the demon calls himself the Demon King of Chaos and lives in Jebexia. Wukong said, How far is it from here to his place? The monkeys said, When he comes, there are clouds, and when he leaves, there are fogs, or wind or rain, or thunder or lightning. We don't know how many ways there are. Wukong said, Since this is the case, don't be afraid, just play and wait for me to find him. The good Monkey King jumped up, somersaulted all the way until he looked down to the north and saw a high mountain, which was really very steep. Good mountain, the pen peaks stand tall, and the winding streams are deep. The pen peaks stand tall and penetrate the sky, and the winding streams are deep and reach the ground. The flowers and trees on both cliffs compete for beauty, and there are pines and bamboos in some places. The dragon on the left is familiar and tame. The tiger on the right is calm and submissive. Whenever you see an iron ox plowing, there are often gold and silver seeds.